Hi guys, welcome back to my channel once again. So today we are going to be making this beautiful short Ankara dress with two side pockets and a mini pocket in front of it. If you're an old subscriber, thank you for sticking with us, and if you're a new subscriber, thank you for joining this family. Without wasting much of your time, let's dive into it. For this, you need your scissors, your tape, your chalk, 3 yards of Ankara fabric, and your ruler. You start by folding your fabric into 4 and roll a starting line at the top of it. Then you go to the folded parts and mark 3.5 inches for your neck width and 1.5 inches for your back neckline, the neck depth. So you connect it with your curved rule into the neck width you marked. After that, you come down by 3.5 inches for your front neck depth, and you still connect it to the neck width you marked earlier. After marking it, you go on to mark your shoulder. You divide your shoulder measurement by 2. My shoulder measurement is 16, divided by 2 is 8. You mark it there, and from the shoulder measurement you marked, I went out by 8 inches extra for my sleeve length. You can decide to make it longer than that, but for me, I'll be adding an extra 3 inches extension to it later. So from there, I'll come down by 1.5 inches for my shoulder slope, and I'll connect it in a slanted line to the neckline I marked earlier. Placing my tape on the shoulder slope, I'll come down by 10 inches, which will serve as my chest line or bust line and also serve as my sleeve opening line. Divide the widest part of your body by 4 and add extra 5 inches. It could be your bust or your hips, but for mine it is my hips, and that's why I'm marking 15 inches. My hips is 40 divided by 4 gives me 10 plus 5 extra inches, which gives me 15 inches. I'll mark the 15 inches all the way down, and after that I'll connect it in a straight line with my ruler. After connecting it, I will just make a curve on that armhole line so that it is not pointy. From the starting line, I'll mark my full length. The full length I'll be using here is 38 inches. So I'll mark 38 inches all to the other end, and I'll connect it in a straight line. And after that, I'll add 2 extra inches for my sewing or my folding allowance. I had to do this so that we can capture it in the camera. So after that, you roll it out in a straight line. You go ahead to cut out the back neckline first. After that, you cut out your shoulder, but while cutting the shoulder, make sure to add ½ inch for the sewing. Go on to cut the sides of your dress and the length of it. Trim off every excess. I had to open the sleeves here and trimmed off every excess here I had. So after this is what we had after cutting. From the starting line, I'll mark down 17 inches, which will serve as our pocket guide. So I'll just roll it out and make a notch on it like this. Just make a notch on it. That is where our pocket will start from. Then we will now remove the back side of these pieces. You take out the back piece and fold back the front piece so that we can cut the neckline. Please friends, if you've watched to this point, do well to like this video and subscribe for more beautiful tutorials like this. So we'll go on to cut our neckline, and from there we'll mark downwards 4 inches. 4 inches downward, and we just mark it. Then you use your ruler. You can use your ruler or just your hand. Just make from the top part just like 3/4 of an inch and just slant it in a V kind of curve. Then you cut it out to the 4 inches we came down by. This is the design I want to use for my front pockets. Remember that my fabric came in 2 colors. So orange and blue and purple color. So for the pockets, I'll be using 10 inches by 8 inches, and I'll cut out 4 pieces. Then you go on to fold your fabric into two, then place your front piece on it and trace out exactly what you have on the neckline of the front piece, leaving like 2 or almost 3 inches on the shoulder side. So for the design, you can actually just curve it down like this, but for me there's this other there's a way I like to cut it, just to give it another beauty inside. Okay, so you can cut it however it is. If you want it big, you can just do it big. You want it like this, my own, it is okay. So this was what I had after cutting it out. This is it. Have you seen? So we fold our fabric into two again and place our back piece and trace it out, still leaving, trace the neckline out, still leaving about 2.5 inches on the shoulder, 2.5 to 3 inches on the shoulder. So you trace it out and you just curve it out like this. You can make it bigger, but this is what I wanted. So you place your back piece right side facing right side of the facing, so you can pin it down for stability, and after that you just sew round, sew to the other end by half of an inch. You do the same thing on the front fabric. You place the facing right side facing the right side of the front piece, then you pin it down and sew it with half of an inch, following the direction of my hand. After this, you trim off the ends of your pocket, just make it curvy, but you can actually leave it like that if you want. So from the 17 inches we came down by, we'll place our pockets there. One piece of our pocket, we'll place it there, starting from that 17-inch mark, the notch we made earlier. That is why it is good to just notch your point. After pinning it down, you just run down half of an inch. You do the same thing to other parts of the pieces. The 4 pockets, place 2 on the front, 2 at the back, and this is after it. After turning my neckline, you notch it, you make notches so that it laps well, or it stays well, it comes out flat when you turn to the right side. This is what I had for the back neckline, and for the front, this is what I had. I notched it all round also, and used my scissors to push out those pointy edges. Okay, so this is what you should have after turning your front neckline also. So this is what we have after sewing on our pockets onto the pieces. This is what we have. So you go onto the neck parts and just align the neck joinings, the neck seams, align it and flip it. Flip the facing, the back facing, to the other part and sew with half of an inch. You do the same thing on the other side and just flip it over. I don't know if you understand this part, but just be very careful in turning it. Just align the seams, the lines, and then you flip it. You use one facing to cover the other facing, especially the back facing to cover the front facing, and after that you just pin it down, or just still sew it with half of an inch all the way to the other side. So this was what we had after turning our shoulders. Have you seen it? This is what we have, and this is the front part of it. This is it, the right side of it. Now go on to measure your sleeve, what you have after joining the shoulders. Measure what you have. For me, I had like 20 inches on the main pieces, so I cut out 23 inches long of fabric, and the width I had about 6 inches, or more than 6 inches, 6 or 6.5 inches. That's what I had. So I'll just fold it into two and just press it, just iron it down, and then pin it right side facing the right side of my dress, because the sleeve extension would be on the right side. It will show on the right side. This is what it's going to look like. So you sew it down with half of an inch all the way down. You do the same thing to the other sleeve, and this is what you should have after doing it. And you go on to trim off any excess you may have. Turn it to the right side. I came down by 14 inches from my shoulders. I marked 14 inches downwards, just on the side. I didn't really measure on the side, 14 inches, and I just drew a straight line there. That is where my mini pocket or my pocket is going to stay. So you place the design however you want it. You use each other. You just use each other to turn it. You use one to turn the other one. Do you understand? I didn't want to use a single piece for it, that is why. So I removed half inch from one of the fabric so that the upper part doesn't just shoulder seam like that. So this is what I had. I'll sew it, then pull up these other parts and also sew it. After that, this is what I had. I placed it on the line exactly. I attached my hemming gum on the sides just to gum it, to hold it in place, and after that I'll go on to sew on it. So this is what we had after we're done sewing it. And I used hemming gum to gum the facing of my necklines to the body of the pieces. And after that, what you should do next is to pin the sides of your dresses together, align them and pin them all the way down. Pin it for stability while sewing. If you can still sew, you can still sew without pinning. Okay, so even the pockets, pin it very well. Make sure it aligns the same aligns, so you don't have one side upper and one side lower. Pin it all the way down. So you go ahead to do the same thing on the other part. You pin them all down. This is what we had after pinning it. So I will sew with half of an inch, following the direction of my hand, with half of an inch all the way down to the end. I'll do that on both sides. So this was after sewing on both sides with half of an inch. This is what it looks like. This is what the shoulder seams look like also. So we'll go on to notch our armpits area, right? You just give it a notch so that it is not bulky outside when you turn it over. The next thing we'll do is to hem the lower part of our dress. So remember, we added 2 extra inches, so you fold in 1 inch and fold in another inch again, and then you sew it all the way around. And this is what we have after sewing it. Our dress is super ready at this point, so I'm going to turn it inside out to the right side so that we see how it looks like, or what it looks like. So this is what we have. This is the right side of our dress. This is it exactly what it looks like. So please, if you've watched to this point and you've not subscribed, please do well to subscribe, and thank you for watching to this point.